Hey everybody, welcome back to my Eurovision React Review channel. So if you have tuned into my videos over the past week, you'll know that I'm currently on holiday, hence the quality of this video probably isn't going to be the best, but I'm making do. I'm in a very, very small room right now and I'm currently sitting down to make this video just so I can get the light okay. So basically what I did is a couple of days ago I uploaded a video where I talked about kind of what I wanted from the Eurovision host city in the UK, and I mentioned once or twice that I have a kind of, and it is a bias, but a kind of personal leaning towards Birmingham. Now I know Glasgow and Manchester are like streets ahead in regards to the betting odds and who people are talking about. And I said in that previous video, I couldn't really say much, particularly about Glasgow, as I've never been. Like, I've heard some amazing things about Glasgow, and it is totally up there on kind of places that I need to go to. But I know Birmingham, and I know Birmingham really well because I spent 5 years of my life there, doing my degree, doing my qualification for my job, and doing my master's. So I thought what I'd do, because actually one or two people have said, well, why don't you do a video promoting Birmingham? No one's really talking about Birmingham, and I do understand all the reasons why. Before I kind of go through the reasons why I think Birmingham would be a pretty good choice for a UK city to host Eurovision, I just want to kind of talk a little bit about Manchester and Glasgow. So I think it goes without saying, Manchester seems to be the obvious choice for me over Glasgow. Number one, the BBC, or huge parts of the BBC, the British broadcaster, are based in Manchester. I made it clear when I talked in my previous video, I really wanted a city to embrace Eurovision. And there is a real foundation of Eurovision love and Eurovision fans in Manchester. There is a handful of kind of Eurovision events and nights that happen in Manchester, and that's quite rare in the UK. Whilst in the UK we love the contest, you know, outside of London, like, it is quite rare to find cities that have like these one-off Eurovision events outside of Eurovision season. So they have the Manchester Eurovision Party, they have Manchester Calling that happens twice a year. And they have this amazing event called Boom Banga Bang every year. It's kind of infamous amongst Eurovision fans in the UK, whereby they, before the Eurovision final and semi-finals, they play all the songs and they vote. It's really, really good fun. So there is a Eurovision culture in that city already. That's the first thing. The second thing, I really want people to be able to go to Eurovision. There are so many Eurovision fans in the UK that have just never been, whether it's due to money or whether it's just to do with, and I've watched one or two videos from other YouTubers recently. RAJC did a video just recently that was really, really, really insightful. And he's mentioned things that other YouTubers that I follow have mentioned, and that's just general anxiety about traveling. So because of that, I want as many people to go to the contest as possible. Manchester Arena, I think, is the biggest arena that's built for kind of concerts and events in the UK. It houses like 21,000 houses. It holds about 21,000 people. So for that reason as well, I kind of hope Manchester get it, because it will mean that there'll be more bums on seats, more chances for people to go. And then finally, a bit over Glasgow. I don't know where Glasgow stands in regards to the Scottish government's plans to hold another referendum in October 2023. So this is going to be May 2023. Now, I guess it's up in the air at the moment. I don't want to get too much into politics. And I'm not actually putting any comment on this referendum. I'm a huge advocate of self-determination, and, you know, if the general will of Scotland is they want to break away, then that's democracy, right? But I mean, as it stands under UK law, I guess it's kind of illegal because it has to be approved by the UK government. Anyway, because of all of these things, I don't know how Glasgow is going to be able to host it with that up in the air, because one thing I said in my previous video is I really want to make sure that this contest is as apolitical as possible, but also the focus being on why it's in the UK, and that's Ukraine. I want Ukraine to be showcased as much as possible. I love Scottish identity, I love Scottish culture, and the opening ceremony of Glasgow Commonwealth Games was amazing, and they
are looking fantastic, and they're standing out. I mean, look at them, they're just standing out. The blue shirts and the tartan I mean, this is Scotland for me.
Yeah, the thing is, it's a colour chosen for this season. It's a colour to be picked out by the spotlight.
I think we were absolutely fantastic.
307 Scottish athletes, 20th games, so we've appeared in all the games.
It was extremely educational, and it would be a great opportunity to showcase Scotland. But I think if you do that with this referendum, it's kind of getting into politics a little bit. So for that reason, I kind of don't think Glasgow... And also, why is Glasgow so high up? Just because the arena happens to be in the Eurovision film? Like, is there any genuine reason why Glasgow is high up there? I understand all the reasons why Manchester is. But anyway, the purpose of this video is to... Us Brits, we're infamous for supporting underdogs. So Birmingham, or Brum as it's known by locals, now they have this week officially announced their submission. I don't know if they've physically submitted it, but they've basically said it's official, because a lot of cities said we're going to. Yeah, just as a side note, they've actually declared that the arena they want to use is the Resorts Arena, which I know as the NEC growing up, but they've changed the name. The capacity is about 15,000. That decision has made me kind of not as openly advocating Birmingham as I would do if it was in the NIA. Oh, that's changed as well now. Did I write down that new name? Utilata Arena, which has a few more seats, which is bang in the centre of Birmingham, which is where it was held in 1998. That seems a more obvious choice for me, and having everything to do with Eurovision in the city centre. Because the Resorts Arena is out of town, which means that you will have to train it there. The trains are regular, and I'm sure they'll put on a multitude of buses and stuff like that, and they'll cater for that. But it is out of town, and whilst you could potentially stay in a hotel in that area, particularly Solihull, which is a lovely suburban part of Birmingham, well, it's actually not part of Birmingham, it's outside of Birmingham, you probably wouldn't want to do that. You'd probably want to be staying in the city centre, because that's where all the extra Eurovision events are going to be. It has a nice link with the fact that the ITV, when they did their concert for Ukraine, that was hosted in that arena, so there is that nice link there with Ukraine. Yeah, I would have preferred for it to be in the NIA, but there we go. So it's official. Birmingham have officially said that they're going for it. So they're currently hosting the Commonwealth Games. If you don't know anything about the Commonwealth Games, it is a sporting event whereby 72 nations part of the Commonwealth, take part in 19 different sports over 11 days. If you had any doubts about Birmingham's ability to host it, or you wanting them to host it, then just watch the opening ceremony that they put on the other day.
Welcome to Birmingham.
It was fantastic. The opening ceremony really kind of honed in celebrating Birmingham's history and culture, and it gave me goosebumps. So yeah, if you can kind of watch that, that'll be a good indicator of what Birmingham can offer. Right, what's Birmingham famous for? First and foremostly, for me, particularly being a kind of fantasy geek and a lover of J.R.R. Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. J.R.R. Tolkien spent a significant part of his life in Birmingham, and actually a lot of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit was inspired by Birmingham landmarks.
He looked right. Perrot's Folly, a 96-foot tower, dominates the skyline. It is widely believed that these two towers inspired his writing of The Lord of the Rings.
In fact, actually, there's a museum there which is actually made from a previous home that he lived in, Sarhole Mill, I think it's called. And that mill is a fantastic place to go, and it actually talks about different Birmingham landmarks and how they inspired different parts of Lord of the Rings. So if you're a Lord of the Rings buff like me, then that's a nice link. It's almost famous for some musicians. It doesn't have the plethora of musicians as London, Manchester or Liverpool, but I mean, it is home to Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne. It is home to Duran Duran, who was part of the opening ceremony in the Commonwealth Games. They've got a pretty big name outside of the UK. Jamelia, if you remember her. I'm clutching at straws now. She's from Birmingham. It's home of the infamous Peaky Blinders.
It's delicate, Mr. Shelby. Concerns the factory down the road at the BSA. Rumours get started.
Rumours that there was a robbery. Robbery of what?
I've never watched Peaky Blinders, but people rave about it. So it's got that going for it. And it's home of Cadbury's chocolate. And actually, if Birmingham hosts Eurovision, then you can go to the factory and have a little tour, have a few kind of freebies. It's worth a visit. Anyway, I'm going to go through, I think, 5 reasons why I think Birmingham should host Eurovision. And hopefully, if people watch this, they might actually think Birmingham's not a bad choice. Because I do know people who went to 1998 said that their experience wasn't the best. But it is a completely different city. Like, even from the time that I was at university doing my undergrad, which was 2006, 2009, the city has transformed immensely even since then. So I think people should give it a chance and not rule it out just because it hosted it in 1998. But also, I will say that there might be something quite nice about that, because next year won't it be 25 years since 1998? So I quite like that link, 25 years on since we last hosted it. So why not return it to that city? Number 1, the general feel about the city. It is a great feeling. I'm not going to kind of talk about kind of the multicultural aspect of Birmingham, because this video isn't about people wanting to live in Birmingham. But I personally love the fact that it's a multicultural city. I want to talk about the fact that it actually has a real young vibe. I mean, it is the youngest city in Europe. I think 40% of the population is under 25. That might put some people off, but because of that, it does have a young, vibrant, youthful spirit. And I think a Eurovision host city needs to have that. So I think that's important. Number 2, I made it very clear in my previous video, one huge reason why I'm an advocate for Birmingham is it's cheap. Like, being in Turin, like, the accommodation was not cheap. And just generally it wasn't that cheap. But Birmingham's cheap. You only need to go to Airbnb or booking.com now and just type in kind of Hadley Road. There's a huge road in Birmingham that has, that will give you a taste of the price spectrum in Birmingham. Because I've stayed on that road quite a few times, and I've had places for like £35 a night, up to £70 a night. And actually, the last time I was in Birmingham, I was right in the centre in Chinatown. I was in a travel lodge and I had this massive apartment for £70 a night on a Saturday night. It's really cheap. So hopefully Birmingham, if they host it, don't take advantage of that and up the prices dramatically. I will say the only time I went to Manchester to the arena was to watch Steps, this amazing British band. And that was a perfect example. It was over the weekend, and we're talking 4 years ago now, and the cheapest me and my friend could find was £110. And it wasn't great. So cities can take advantage of obviously having events, right? And no doubt Birmingham will, but hopefully there's enough accommodation there to kind of keep the price down enough. Also, in regards to when was I last in Birmingham? A year ago. So I remember going into Wetherspoons, classy, and pints are still, and I've been to other places in Birmingham, pints are still around £3. I don't know if they've increased in the last year. Where in London, you're looking at £5.50, £6. So, I mean, I'm sure Manchester and Glasgow also are cost effective, but Birmingham, trust me, it's a cheap city. Number 3, it's well connected nationally and internationally. It has an international airport, which is necessary to host Eurovision. It also has East Midlands Airport, which isn't too far away, which has your Ryanair options, EasyJet probably as well. And also it's in the centre of the country, and they've just, and I'll talk about in a second, they've just renewed the train station. It's a beautiful building. And you can get to it from anywhere, and fast. I wouldn't say necessarily cheap, because the last time I was in the UK, I got a train from London down to Devon, where I'm from, and one way was like £75. I was like, that's more than my plane from Milan. Anyway, so it's well connected, and if it is held in Birmingham, a lot of people like to sightsee, right? And you can get to London in just over an hour from Birmingham. Number 4, and I'm generally appealing to the people that went to 1998 who don't live in the UK. It's a city on the rise. It's one of the fastest transforming cities in the world, genuinely, from my understanding. They've just renewed and reopened New Street, the train station. It's really a city that's enjoying and thriving off of regeneration. Yeah. There we go. And I guess number 5, the last thing I want to say, and I think this is the important thing for anyone going to Eurovision or kind of wanting the best from the host city. I'm going to move, because my knees. Hopefully my camera shot, let me just check my camera shot and see if I've affected. No, I still look rough. It's entertainment. So firstly, let's talk about food. There are countless restaurants. I think there are 6 Michelin star restaurants, the kind of highest city or town outside of London with Michelin stars. There's loads of independent venues, plenty of bars. I think for me, it's probably the best in my experience in the UK in regards to restaurants and bars and what they have to offer and being cost effective. It's obviously got the famous Balti Triangle, if you like Indian, if you like curry. That's worth a do. Do it. It actually has a thriving cultural scene as well. It has its own ballet company, the Birmingham Royal Ballet. It has its own orchestra, the City of Birmingham Symphony Orchestra. It has an abundance of theatres, art galleries. The public library in Birmingham is the biggest public library in Europe. So yeah, culturally, it's thriving in my opinion. As you can see, this is probably me being really biased. Canals. Birmingham is famous for its canals. You can explore its canals. It has more canalways than Venice. I think Venice has around 26 miles and Birmingham has about 35 miles. And actually, because of that and because of the regeneration, there are plenty of options of bars and dining out options on the canal. I would really like to recommend the Mailbox and Brindley Place, 2 kind of built up areas on the canal that have lots of bars and restaurants. Really nice parts of Birmingham. Excellent shopping. It's got the Bullring, which I think rivals any shopping centre in the UK. It also is home to the biggest Primark in Europe, for those Primark lovers. As a city, there are countless green areas. There's loads of parks. Cannon Hill Park is a really, really good park. And moreover, you don't need to travel very far out the city and you're in the countryside. Lickey Hills is a great place to go and walk around. It's a green city in my opinion, lots of open space. And like I said, you don't need to go far out and you're in the countryside. There's some beautiful parts of Birmingham. I talked about the Mailbox, talked about Brindley Place, but areas, and these are areas you might want to think about staying if Birmingham get it. Moseley is a nice part of Birmingham. It's filled with Victorian architecture, lots of independent bars and cafes, and plenty of green spaces. The jewellery quarter, right in the middle, JQ, as it's known by the locals, makes 40% of the UK's jewellery. It's the biggest concentration of jewellery makers in Europe, I think. It's the home, or the Wimbledon women's, men's and women's trophies come from here. It's, in regards to property, it's where people want to live in Birmingham. It's got a lovely, lovely feel to it, and it's bang in the centre. Solihull, which is actually near to where they're proposing the arena to be. That's a really nice area. It is out of Birmingham, so you need to take that into account. Bourneville and Edgbaston, again, has a kind of Victorian feel about it. It's very affluent. Rich people live there. And it's home to Edgbaston Cricket Ground, a world famous, mind you, not many countries that participate in Europe love cricket. Australians, I guess. And Harborne, again, Victorian architecture, a number of parks, probably more of a family feel, but I like Harborne. And finally, and I mentioned this in my previous video, it has a really, really good gay district. I think any Eurovision host city will attract a lot of people who identify as LGBTQI+, and generally LGBTQI+ venues embrace Eurovision and will put on acts, events and play music, I guess. And it really does. It's Hurst Street, and it is a quarter, and as a result of that, they're able to shut it off for Birmingham Pride. There are some fantastic venues in there. Mind you, Glasgow has, as I've been told, has a really nice kind of gay area, and Manchester obviously has Canal Street, which probably Canal Street, in all hindsight, is better than Hurst Street. But Birmingham has a gay quarter, and it has a multitude of bars that cater for different music tastes. And I know, based on having 5 years there, that they will embrace Eurovision to the max. So those are all the reasons why I think Birmingham should host Eurovision. You may disagree with me, that's absolutely fine, but at least there's now something, I guess, out there that people could refer to if they don't know anything about these host cities. And hopefully I've not been... I started this knowing I was going to be biased, so hey. Anyone who's advocating for any city, I think, is probably going to have some sort of bias to it. So yeah, I'm now going to go out. I'm going to enjoy the sun, go to the beach, and hopefully not burn. If you're still here and you've not subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. Please do click the notification button. Please follow me on Instagram. No, actually, don't please. That sounds weird. If you want to follow me on Instagram, please do. I'm traveling around Europe at the moment, so documenting a lot of that on Instagram. And yeah, until next time, stay safe.